super volcano blast would blanket the United States in ash. ScienceNews.org. And I'm going to share with you the levels in just a moment. Also, check this out. This took me a few minutes to find. I just had to know where to look. Archives from the defense.gov. And this is a specific meeting that was put together where they talked about actually, well, let me read this to you directly. Well, it points out the nature of the threat. It turned out to be a false threat under the circumstances. But as we have learned in the intelligence community, we have something called, and we have James Woolsey here to perhaps even address this question about phantom moles. The mere fear that there is a mole within an agency can set off a chain reaction and a hunt for that particular mole, which can paralyze the agency for weeks and months and years even. In a search, now, the same thing is true about just the false scare of a threat using some kind of a chemical weapon or a biological one. This is where it gets interesting. There are some reports, for example, that some countries have been trying to construct something like an Ebola virus, and that would be a very dangerous phenomenon, to say the least. Alvin Toffler has written about this in terms of some scientists in their laboratories trying to devise certain types of pathogens that would be ethnic specific so that they could just eliminate certain ethnic groups and races. And others are designing some sort of engineering, some sort of insects that can destroy specific crops. Others are engaging even in an eco-type terrorism, whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. So there's plenty of ingenious minds out there that are at work finding ways in which they can wreak terror upon other nations. It's real, and that's the reason why we have to intensify our efforts, and that's why this is so important. So this is directly from the DoD. You can read about this, U.S. Department of Defense. This is the news transcript. It is the news briefing, Secretary of Defense William Cohen, April 28, 1997 at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time. This is Cohen's keynote address to the Conference on Terrorism, Weapons of Mass Destruction, and U.S. Strategy at the Georgia Center, Mahler Auditorium, University of Georgia, Athens, Georgia. Wow. Now, this right here, will you just look at it? Doesn't this look interesting? Well, as of thickness, this is the millimeter measurements here. So if you're seeing the yellow, that's 1 to 3 millimeters. Orange, 3 to 10. Well, that's like a yellowish orange. Orange, 10 to 30. So that means you're going to be anywhere from a half inch almost to a little bit over an inch. Now, here's where it's interesting, because if you look at the central point around Casper, Billings, the belly of the beast right there, you're talking like 40, 50 inches worth of ash. And many predictions have even more than that. This is somewhat of a mellow version. I mean, the entire U.S. literally just gets blanketed in ash. Now, if ash mixes with rain, then it's going to get real ugly. Now, 2,300 tremors. This is at Newsweek or Yahoo. An ongoing earthquake swarm at Yellowstone volcano is now one of the biggest ever recorded, with over 23 tremors since it began in June. As of August 30th, 2,357 earthquakes have been recorded. The most powerful in recent weeks was the magnitude 3.3. It took place on August 21st. There was a 4.4, which was recorded on June 15th. Read all about it, Hannah Osborne, Newsweek, or Yahoo.com. I was going to say Yellowstone. Here is the volcanoes.usgs.gov you can look at. This is just the past month, the past 31 days. So 1,023 earthquakes in the region in 30 days. Now you times that by 12, you're over 12,000. Actually about 13,260 approximately. If you look at it over 90 days, they're at 2,300. Well, 1,023. Somebody called me a shill because I said the number 33, so I guess I am a shill because I said the number 33 earlier.
Monkey might not compute more very well.
This is interesting. The volcanic ash and winter rain can make a dangerous mix. So this is showing the heavy blanket of volcanic ash that spread over the Andean landscape of southern Chile and Argentina. You can see right there. We just look at it. Look at all that love. If you want to read more about this Space Preservation Act of 2001, this talks about some of these scholar weapons, etc. H.R. 2977. But wow, this is a crazy article right here. And you know what? Anybody that has done the research on bioweaponry, etc., done just a little bit of research, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. The fact that they're talking about it, I find fascinating. And rightfully so. I mean, shouldn't we be discussing this kind of stuff? Because what if they are manipulating the weather right now? What if, Russia, China, or even our own government? Because let's go back here to this H.R. 2977, this specific bill, the Space Preservation Act of 2001. This is essentially an international treaty not to use space weapons, satellites, etc. for warfare. But how easy would it be if you had the technology to cause serious havoc without having to send any troops over, without having to have any ICBMs, any F-35s or jets or airplanes or helicopters, none of that. You'd have to have the equipment, the know-how, and the energy to produce. And you'd have to be able to specifically target those areas like Yellowstone, as an example. So let's go back to the Yellowstone discussion for a minute. 2,300 tremors over the past 90 days, over 1,000 over the past 30 days, 1,023 over the 31 days, past month. Some years, that's the amount of earthquakes Yellowstone gets in a year. Is the next war that we see, or that we're a part of, hopefully not, but could the next war actually, they throw all the treaties out the window, and they're kind of beta testing right now just to see what happens. See how far they can push it. But what's going on in Russia? What's going on in China? What's going on in North Korea? What's going on in Iran? Do they have these technologies? Russia, I would absolutely say, has these technologies. China probably has these technologies. Iran, possibly. North Korea, I doubt it. I mean, they've got the fourth largest military. They have the fourth largest military. Let me read some statistics from defense.gov about North Korea. Where is this at here? We hope we will have access to the defection or the defector. In fact, I was recently in South Korea and talked with various officials in South Korea. As they complete their own interrogation of this defector. Let's get to the good stuff. North Korea poses a very serious threat against South Korea, and potentially even Japan, by virtue of having the fourth largest army in the world, by having 600,000 or more troops within 100 kilometers of Seoul, of possessing many Scud missiles, also the potential of chemically armed warheads, the attempt to acquire nuclear weapons, so we know they have this potential. And the question really is going to be what's in their hearts and minds at this point. Now, this was in 97. So 20 years to advance their weaponry. How far have they taken it? What do we not know? Question everything. Also, if you're looking for some really good supplements to help keep your immune system boosted, to help with your digestive system, to help with all sorts of opportunities, check out getthetea.com. If you go on there and look at the colostrum, that stuff is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And if you're looking for something that's kind of like a supplement to coffee or caffeine, something that you drink, caffeine drinks, check out Formula 13. This stuff is amazing, and it's also good for clarity of mind. At least it is for me. So getthetea.com. When you purchase the product, when you check out, they'll ask how you heard about them. Make sure you let them know it was a Leak Project. And that's my shameless plug. Have a beautiful day. Question everything. Be the change you want to see.